Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to Cutting Edge Action. This is the first video that I'm shooting with the new studio setup, so please let me know what you think of the sections that I'm doing up close and personal with the knives in the studio. But let's go ahead and get right into it. In this video, I want to cover some more affordable knives that I think make good EDCs. These are all knives that I own, so I know them well and I can give my true and honest opinions on them. I don't want this video to be extremely long, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on each knife, otherwise we would be here all day. And I want to make it clear that you can find great knives apart from these from a lot of different brands and for not very much money at all, so you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a great EDC. But let's go ahead and just work our way down the line here. So I think we're going to go ahead and start with the Boker Strike in the Black Widow color scheme. Now this knife has a real nice snappy automatic action, and it's got a push button auto with a sliding lock that clicks nicely into place, and the lock can be used to lock the knife into the open position as well. On this knife you have a lot of different color options. The build quality is pretty decent, but I don't think the coating on this knife is very good. As you can see, the red on this screw here and quite a bit of the black coating for the handles has already started to rub away. And I really haven't used this knife all that much, so that's kind of unfortunate to see, but the red coating on the blade seems to be holding up pretty well. The action on this knife also might not hold up if you were really putting it through its paces and trying to use it for real serious work. You might want to spend a bit more money if you're trying to get an automatic to use for serious work like wood batoning or something like that. Now next up, we've got the Spyderco BYRD CARA 2, that's BYRD BYRD. And BYRD is a sub-brand of Spyderco where they kind of keep their cheaper knives. And as you can see, this knife is distinguished by the bird-shaped thumb hole instead of the standard Spyderco circle or ellipse. For the money, only $30 for this knife, you still get that good Spyderco build quality. You get a nice, big, sharp blade, which is very strong, even though it's 8CR13 MOV steel, which a lot of people have a negative opinion of. I think for the $30 that you spend on this, this is a really durable knife that should last a good long time. That said, this is one of my few knives that has any rust on it whatsoever. As you can see, just close to the tip of the blade there, which is kind of unfortunate. So, like I said, 8CR13 MOV, do with that information what you will. Alright, next up guys, we've got the standard Victorinox, and you can get this knife with a lot of different options. Mine happens to have just a standard normal length blade, and then a small size blade, a bottle opener, a can opener, and then I've also got a corkscrew on here, and then you have the pull-out tools, which include tweezers on this knife, as well as a toothpick. You can get these outfitted with just about any tools you want, and you can go absolutely crazy with them to the point where you've got like 40 tools in there, but just the standard regular size Victorinox for me makes for a great EDC without adding too much weight to your pocket. Next up, right in the middle here, we have got the SOG Flash ATXR. I've also seen this sold as the SOG Flash Mark III, I believe, possibly Mark IV. I'm not exactly sure how the branding for this knife goes, but this is an excellent pocket knife and truly a return to form for SOG after many years of making not such great quality tools. And I'm going to go ahead and crown this knife the MVP of this video right now, and I'll tell you guys why. For your $70 or so on this knife, you get D2 steel, you get the ATXR locking mechanism, which is of course a clone of the Benchmade Axis lock, but done in a slightly different way. You get a locking mechanism on the spine of the knife, which is really cool, very nice and clicky. Good to see that, because this knife, even though it is not an automatic, it sure does fire like one. This is a spring assisted knife, and you'll see here when I go ahead and start to push the thumb stud with the safety off that it just fires immediately like an automatic, though it is surprisingly easy to get this knife back into place after you fire it with just one hand. The plastic handles on this knife are extremely grippy and comfortable. It's easy to use this knife for a very long time. It came extremely sharp. I haven't had to sharpen it very much at all. It stayed very sharp. And this is just a fantastic knife here by SOG. I cannot recommend this highly enough. And I think at this price point, this thing just absolutely kills it. So go ahead and pick one up if you've been eyeing it up, or maybe thinking that, oh, you don't want a SOG because they're so cheap. But their new range of XR knives definitely have risen out of that trend, and SOG is making some truly great knives again. The only thing that I think I would change about this knife is I wish you got a little bit larger cutting edge for the size of the handles, because as you can see, for how big the handles are, the cutting edge is fairly small. But other than that, this knife is just fantastic. Alright, so next up we have got the Leatherman Wingman. This is actually my personal wingman that I've had for, I think, close to 10 years, and I have since passed it on to my wife because I upgraded to the Wave Plus. But the wingman, I think at this price point, is just about the best multi-tool you can get. It is really good, really strong, really robust. You've got spring-loaded pliers, you've got a semi-serrated blade, you've got a file. Just about everything you could need is all nicely bundled up in this easy-to-access package. You've even got some spring-loaded scissors in here. So there are your spring-loaded scissors. These come in really handy, and this is actually a really good pair of nice sharp scissors that you can use for more than just paper. You could probably easily tear through fabric with these. The Wingman at the price, I think, is just an excellent multi-tool. And if you need to do more than just carry a knife with you and you want it all in one package, the Wingman is a great place to start. Alright, next up guys, we have the Kershaw MISDIRECT, which is a fairly plain and simple knife. You've just got a solid steel design and a flipper tab with Kershaw's SpeedSafe assisted action and a frame lock design. Pretty simple. This is just a good cutting tool if you need to cut things daily and you want a knife that's going to last without breaking the bank. This is probably a pretty good bet. I would bet this would last a very long time. And it's a pretty clean little package, not too intimidating, just a little aggressive. And a pretty well done tool at the price for sure. As far as cons go, it could definitely be more comfortable to hold, especially if you're going to be using it for a long time. I think this design would have a tendency to dig into not only the palm of your hand, but also into your fingers where you're gripping it along the front face of the knife. Alright guys, we are getting to the home stretch here. And next up we have the Civivi PRAXIS in this purple G10 with the faux Damascus blade. Now, as far as pros go for this knife, it is just fantastic looking. The action, nice and snappy and smooth. And this is not a spring-assisted knife. This is entirely relying on the weight of this big heavy blade to fire it out. And man, does it come out. Every single time this thing flies open and it is ready to go. It's got a liner lock design with steel liners, as you can see there. And man, this thing is just fantastic looking. People ask about it a lot, and they don't really seem to be intimidated by it at all, even though it is a rather large knife, which is pretty cool. They see the purple scales and the Damascus pattern, and they just want to ask, what's up, what is that knife, etc. For cons on the Praxis, the stock is a little thinner than I would like to see for a blade this long and this large, but other than that, I think this is just a great knife, and it'll do well with anything up to medium duty tasks for sure. Alright, lastly for the folders, we have got the KIZER DOMIN Mini in blue G10 with steel liners. And this is my first KIZER knife, but man, this is just an excellent place to start because this thing is so buttery smooth. The thumb stud action is just awesome on it. It flies out every single time very reliably. It locks up very nicely with the liner lock, and it fits pretty nicely in the hand too, even though this is the mini version and not the full-size variant. The full-size variant, of course, would make it into this sub $100 category easily. So if you want a little bit larger model, then go ahead and get the full-size one. But I just had the mini on hand to show for this video. This is a really great knife. I love the full flat grind on it. It's very slicey. Now, of course, you're not going to be doing any prying with this or anything, but as just a nice gentleman's EDC, this would absolutely do the job, and very, very well. Alright, so last but not least, we have my very beat up and worn SCHRADE SCHF 37. And as you can see, I've used this thing quite a bit for splitting of firewood mainly. This is an excellent camping knife. It holds an edge pretty darn nicely. The coating on it is pretty good, and the handles are really, really nice. They give you a very good grip on that full tang. and these grips are fairly comfortable. I will say, one negative thing with this knife is these grips are so grippy you might want to wear gloves with them because they can actually start to blister after a while if you're not careful. Sliding around on these rubbery grips, it will really dig into your skin, so watch out for that. But I would recommend grabbing one of these knives and throwing it in your car just for an emergency thing. I don't really call that everyday carry, but something like this where it comes with a fire starter and a few other tools in a sheath is very nice to have in your car kit. Well guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a long time to make and edit this one, and I also went ahead and built some new stuff for the studio, so hopefully the quality shows here in the studio segments. Remember to go ahead and get subscribed if you're not subscribed already. Give the video a like, and then leave a comment down below telling me what you thought of the video, and also giving me ideas for what you think I should do next. Until next time guys, this has been Cutting Edge Action.